2022 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro this year has the Lime Rush paint color. And after over a decade of the 5th generation 4Runner being on the market, it doesn't matter. People are still buying this at unprecedented rates. Why buy this old, outdated dinosaur in today's modern era of electrification? Well, today we're going to try to find out. Today I'll be addressing your comments and questions in this review. And if you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. I talk about Japanese and Korean cars. If you like that, subscribe and let's go. And we're gonna start with Mark. How does the transmission shift? Well, we'll just do a little 0 to 60 here. Why not? Take off the hazards. Torque brake to 1500 and go. I'm just only in rear wheel drive. I'm expecting around like a 10-second 0 to 60 here. And we'll talk about how the transmission shifts here in a little bit. Okay, I'm already there. Hey, 8.85. I was expecting over 9, so it has already beat my expectations, and I already feel like I'm getting like a little wobble in the steering wheel. I don't know what's going on there. I took this a little bit off-road for some B-roll, so maybe I ran over, there could be a rock in the tire for all I know. But anyways, how does a transmission shift? There is some hunting like you mentioned, but really I only notice it when I'm like 35, 40 miles an hour. But the wishy-washiness of the transmission doesn't bother me that much. I'm going about 50, I'm gonna pedal down. Okay, it does a double downshift to third there, right? There's only five gears in this ancient transmission, but it's pretty decisive outside of that weird 35, 40 mile an hour range. What drives me crazy though is at 1300 to 1500 RPM is where this TRD tipped exhaust is extremely drony. I'm gonna slow down to about 50 because that's where, to me, is unacceptably drony and annoying. Not much road noise because all I'm hearing is the TRD tip, but we do have a good amount of wind noise. Like I feel like this is just a box on top of a box and it's very non-aerodynamic. I'm just gonna flip a U-turn here. I was getting about 17 miles per gallon, but I let it idle for over an hour because I had a YouTube meeting with my YouTube advisor. He also advises a straight pipe, so I thought that was pretty baller. I feel like I'm getting one day I'll get to you guys, my Canadian friends. I had a weird dream about them last night. It's not the first time either. Anyways, too much information there. Next question. Soulful House Mafia is talking about how he had a 2017 in cement. He just sold it for roughly the same amount he paid for it. And that's one of the great things about this 4Runner. It's like, yeah, you can beat the heck out of it, waste thousands of dollars of gas in it, but when you go to sell it, you're gonna get most of what you paid for, if not more. Like today's market is just completely silly. So this is one of those vehicles, because of its reliability and its build quality, it's just going to hold its value. According to IC Cars, the number 5 vehicle in terms of vehicles lasting over 200,000 miles. Of course, its bigger brothers, the Land Cruiser and the Sequoia, only rank ahead of it with, you know, some GM products and whatnot that people take them on long family trips. Let's go to the next question. It's a loaded one. Mr. Diaz is asking about what do I expect from the new 4Runner if it comes anytime soon. Well, in theory, we were supposed to get it like this year, according to the dealer leak, but we know there's been a lot of wrenches in the supply chain, and there's been pandemics, etc. So it's not going to come this year. It's not. Maybe it comes next year, but I'll put my hopes low as possible. It should be coming by 2024, end of 2024. Interior quality here, although it's extremely functional with the big knobs and everything, it does need to be redesigned. The buttons in here are extremely ridiculously large. I feel like I'm in a Tonka truck. The materials on the dash are really cheap. The materials around the shifter are cheap. This is the same shifter that's taken from the Sequoia, old Sequoia TRD Pro. I don't even have TRD Pro on the steering wheel. I have it on the mats, but I could put these mats in a non-TRD 4Runner, for example. Of course, we'll have the new Toyota interface in here with at least a 12-inch screen. It could be a 9-inch. Could start at 9 and they'll probably give us a 12 or 14-inch in here. I would like to see these off-roading controls for crawl control as well as you know, multi-terrain select. I'd like to see that down here like it is in the Tundra. Like the climate control knobs in this vehicle are the biggest knobs. I'm okay with that. You're probably because you're touching them a lot. Do absolutely want to see the continuation of the volume and tuning knobs. Please, Toyota, keep those in all your vehicles. It's a game changer in terms of functionality and just livability. We'll talk powertrains here in a little bit. Tim Smith is asking, he rented a 4Runner last week. He said the porpoising ride made him queasy, and I am also one to get pretty car sick. So luckily, I haven't had car sickness in this vehicle, but I totally understand where you're getting it, because when you get on the brakes hard, you have a lot of dive. When you throw it in the turns, it definitely feels like it wants to fall over. Even though we have the upgraded Fox shocks to the front and the back on this TRD Pro, it is still like, you know, you're just kind of buoying around, which I felt in many other body-on-frame SUVs. And it's not nearly as smooth or refined as the Lexus GX, which only costs about $2 grand more than this vehicle. So for me, if I'm spending 50 plus grand on a 2-3 row body-on-frame crossover, getting the GX, I'm getting the VA, I'm getting the better transmission, I'm getting the smoother ride, I'm getting the quieter ride, I'm getting the nicer materials. Like, yes, this vehicle looks cool to my inner middle school childhood boy, where it feel like this is like an upsized RC car, and it looks awesome, but in terms of everyday practicality, I don't think I could live with a TRD Pro. I could live with a limited model or the lesser grades, but for $53K, I know it keeps its value, but I would rather spend it on a Lexus GX instead. Steve is wanting to know about the floor height. He's given his old 4Runner to his son. What's it like in this vehicle? Well, floor height is insanely high. There are no running boards on this TRD Pro either. So like my daughters, who are like 5 and 6 years old, it takes them a bit to get in and out of this vehicle. Luckily, they're really young and flexible, so that's not an issue. It is an issue if you're older and you're not that tall. Like for me, at 6'1", I can't just slide my butt in here. I have to get on my tippy toes and kind of slide my tush in. So it is extremely high floor and seating positions in here, and I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Corey is asking about the differences between the TRD Off-Road and the TRD Pro. Well, paint color is one of them. You're going to have suspension differences. You're going to have the underbody plate, the skid plate here, that you're not going to have on that. Also new for 2022 is the TRD Sport model, which I think is kind of based off the limited grade in some ways, and it's kind of in between the SR5 and the limited, if my memory serves me correct. You get more streetable wheels and tires, so it'll probably handle better than this vehicle for the street, and probably have better comfort for the street, would be my guess. But on the TRD Sport, you still get a lot of the looks like this TRD Pro has. Like, you get the hood scoop, like that's probably the biggest selling point for that TRD Sport. Dan is asking about garage fit, and is it worth the investment? Yes, it's worth the investment, but like I said, I'd rather have a Lexus GX for roughly the same price of this vehicle. And I haven't tried putting it in my garage, but I'll give you some like future video of me like in the garage. And I know this vehicle is built for off-roading. I just have no desire to take it off-roading. One, I'm in Florida. It's not very exciting. If you want to make it exciting, you're putting yourself into dangerous situations in swamps and things like that, or a sugar stand that you would have to get pulled out of. But I don't want to put myself into that position. If you want to see some of my off-roading, my light off-roading, just watch my wilderness review of the Forester last week. So who is this vehicle for in the age of electrification? Also in the age of $4 to $6 per gallon for gasoline. Like 15 to 17 miles per gallon, this vehicle is just an absolute kick to the pants. I know the Lexus GX, I've mentioned that a few times, it's not going to be any better in that vehicle either with a thirsty V8. If I were justifying a 4Runner, to me it would be, you want, number one, longevity. You don't want to buy cars every 3 to 5 years. You want to hold it for 10 to 20 years, which 4Runners can easily do with basic maintenance. You may have off-roading to get to your house or something like that. This would be a perfect vehicle if you live in the country, especially if you have snow and awful conditions half of the year. This would be a perfect vehicle for that. Also, this would be a perfect vehicle for you know, overlanding and having a lifestyle where you're traveling a lot. I know the gas mileage isn't great, but if you just want to camp in it or go camping with your buddies, you could have 3 rows, not in this particular one. You have that in the 4Runner, where you can just load the gear up and take it out and go have fun with your friends or your family for the weekend. There aren't very many body-on-frame SUVs, truck-like SUVs out there, especially mid-size like this vehicle. So the reason why it sells so well is, one, Toyota longevity, durability. It's essentially a shrunken Land Cruiser. It's very much the Land Cruiser Prado that we don't get here in the United States. I wish we had a diesel. I wish we had a turbo on this model to help with the torque and the efficiency. I wish we had, I don't know about hybrid on this vehicle, but it's probably coming because that's just what's coming in the future. And that will definitely help out the fuel economy. Like if we get a 4Runner, guys, that gets 25 plus miles per gallon and has the same off-road capability. And a lot of people love the idea that this is built in Tahara in Japan, where there's just a huge lineage of body on frame legendary Land Cruisers and like FJ Cruisers built there, I believe, as well. So a lot of people love that nostalgia factor. No, this 4-liter V6 isn't amazing, but it is amazing because it lasts indefinitely. Same thing with this 5-speed auto. Like, there's nothing inspiring about the combination at all, especially when you see 15, 16 miles per gallon. But that peace of mind knowing that it's always going to fire up, it's always going to run as long as you own the vehicle is amazing. No, I'm not that passionate about the 4Runner, but I'm passionate about for what it is. Large body on frame SUV. I'm passionate about its roots built in Japan by legendary Takumi masters, and it's essentially a shrunken down Land Cruiser. I know there's been a lot of rambling in this video. There's just not a lot for me to say that hasn't been said already about the 4Runner that's essentially been out since 2009 as a 2010 model year. So we're going on a decade and a half essentially, and by the time the new one comes out, it'll be about 15 years, which is extraordinarily long in today's product cycles. But you know, it doesn't matter because Toyota, they're making so much money on this vehicle on outdated technology and outdated everything, really. Luckily we have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in here. That's pretty amazing. The JBL sounds good in here, by the way. But if they didn't change the 4Runner for another 10 years, I still expect it to sell over 100,000 per year, as long as gas prices don't go to like $7-8 a gallon. But I need to cut myself off from the old, outdated, but still outstanding and rock solid, reliable Toyota 4Runner. This one, the TRD Pro trim, of course. I would just get a Lexus GX, as you guys know. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed for more Toyota news and reviews. If I hear any slightest rumor about the new 4Runner, I will give it to you guys. I'll give you guys news updates along the way because I know we're all hungry for details on the new 4Runner based on the F platform with probably the 2.4 liter turbo. And I just said I was going to cut myself off, so I got to go back to that. And anyways, I'll see you guys down below. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not. Catch you in the next one. Peace out.